neither the conventional doctors nor the alternative doctors at that time were able to find a solution for you, and
No,
you
they
had to find
couldn't.
your own. That's
Yeah, and
amazing.
I was talking to the best, the most respected
Mm-hmm.
teachers in our school, at least,
Mm-hmm.
that I
Mm-hmm.
knew at the time.
Wow. And so you had to trust your own instincts.
Yes.
Welcome to the Healthy Reasonings podcast with Dr. Andre. You are now listening to your number one source for clear, unfiltered conversations about your health and wellness. Join us every Tuesday for success stories, educational topics, and interviews with wellness experts from around the world. You can listen to this podcast on your computer, phone, or any other electronic device that streams podcasts, or download each episode and listen to it on the go. Let's get started with today's episode.
All right, everybody. It's another episode of the Healthy Reasonings podcast, and it's your number one podcast for clear, unfiltered information about your health and wellness. We have a special guest today again. The year has started off really well with special guests who are gonna really rock your world and knock your socks off. I've been pulling on my connections that I've formed over the past couple of years. And as usual, we are not going to tell you who the person is until I introduce them. So I'll tell you before we start, we always remind you that the person who is being interviewed or myself, we're not giving you advice for your personal medical condition. We are simply giving you something to think about, possibilities. So nothing we say here is intended to be specific medical advice for any of our listeners. If you have a medical problem, please see your own healthcare practitioner for specific advice. Now, I have a guest here who is soft-spoken but very powerful, and it's a she. She is a naturopathic physician. She works out of Connecticut in the United States, as well as she's an acupuncturist licensed in both Connecticut and New York State. This doctor helps both adults and children with disorders of the immune system caused by external toxins. There's a long list of things that she helps with. Chronic infections such as Lyme, which is the one that fascinates me quite a bit, Candida and parasites, skin disorders, as well as sleep issues. Her training was at first of all, she started her healthcare training in Odessa, Ukraine, which we all know is it's a newsworthy country right now. And she actually started off as a nurse in 1991, finished nursing school at that time, and then worked for 1 year in surgical urology department at the Marine Hospital. Then she's also done work at the Brooklyn College, a branch of City University of New York, where she did pre-med, then graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology. Oh my goodness, I didn't know all of this. And ultimately, this doctor attended naturopathic medical and acupuncture programs at Bastyr University, located in Seattle, then did her residency at Griffin Hospital's Integrative Medicine Center in Connecticut in 2003. I know her because I trained with her at, you guessed it, the Gonzalez protocol training. And we have a group of superhero doctors from around the world with different backgrounds who have come together to try and preserve the legacy of Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez. So this lady is a heavyweight in her own right. And we're going to pick her brain a little bit this evening, Healthy Reasoners. I'd love to introduce to you Dr. Marina Yanover. Welcome, Marina.
Thank you. Thank you, Andre. It's so nice to see you, and it's a pleasure.
Oh, yeah. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly because I've never
Yes, you
tried
did.
to.
Yes,
Okay.
you did.
All right, fine, because that would have been a shame. Marina, welcome. It's been a long time coming, but you're finally on our show.
Thank
And
you, Andre. Yes. Thanks for
so our
being
listener,
patient.
Yes. So our listeners have no idea what they're in for because Marina appears very soft and gentle and quiet, but she packs a lot of punch. She has a lot going on behind, within that brain of hers. And she's an expert in an area that I literally have no idea where to start with. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a short while. But before we get into that, I'd love to ask Marina the question I ask all of my colleagues. It's an easy one. And it's this: how did you first realize that you were going to get into the medical field?
Yes, so it's a long story, Andre.
That's fine.
Um,
Go ahead.
So it all started when I was 9 years old. Um, I had a grandfather who was diagnosed with lung cancer, and so he passed away very shortly after the diagnosis. And during the time when he was sick, I couldn't understand why the doctors couldn't help him. I was very concerned, and when he passed away, I thought that I need to become a doctor to find cure for cancer. So that's how it started, and I never changed my idea. I kind of went through school, and I already knew I wanted to become a doctor. And
Wow.
the medical sciences and subjects, they did interest me. So it was both kind of like emotionally based, but also interest based as well.
Wow. Wow. That's I think you're the only, well, no, I interviewed Tony and he also said that he decided at about the same age. So I wish I could have been had as much clarity as you did at that age, but but congrats to you. So you pretty much had the stars aligned for you from age 9, and you just did what was necessary to follow that path. It sounds like
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
nice.
Yes. And
Wow.
then,
That
yeah. I became a nurse in Odessa, Ukraine, because in those days, due to political situation, it was very difficult, almost impossible to become a doctor. So at that
wow.
time, my mom said to me, "You need to get a degree, just get a degree. And so go to nursing school, at least you'll get something." And then after that, we were planning to move to the United States. And when we got to the United States, at first I wanted to go to medical school, so I started pre-med. And somewhere halfway into college, into pre-med program, after I volunteered at different hospitals and also with my own family and myself, kind of got disappointed with the medical
Oh
system
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
also found out about naturopathic schools, and I looked into it, and that sounds like what I wanted to do, because in naturopathic school we covered a lot about herbs and nutrition and things that's never covered in the regular
Regular
medical
medical. Yeah.
schools.
Regular school.
So
Yeah.
that's where I went, and I liked
Yeah.
my education. I loved the school, and that's where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. That is crazy. If it's one thing that I've decided, Marina, is that, and you asked me the same question. Every guest I've had on the podcast always says to me, "So what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about?" And
Mm-hmm.
I deliberately don't answer that question because I feel like I want the audience to see the similarities between all of the people that join us on the show, because I didn't know your story. I mean, I literally just looked up your bio like 2 minutes before we press record. And yet it's the same trend going through all of the stories. There's this sense of either yourself being ill or a relative being ill, and so you desire to help the relative, and out of that birth a desire to help the world at large. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
also the dissatisfaction with what the traditional or conventional medical arena has to offer. And that's like a common thread through everybody's story. And so I'm
Yeah.
amazed
Yeah.
at, I actually didn't ask you this before, and now you're saying the same thing.
Yeah,
That's
and then
crazy.
I also had something about my own health that also kind of pushed me towards the more of a naturopathic education. When I came, well, even back when I was a nurse in Odessa, Ukraine, I started having acne, and I was 19 years old when I had my first outbreak of acne, maybe 18, I don't remember exactly. But I was working as a nurse in a hospital, and I was exposed to a lot of chemicals via breathing because I was, pulling in the injections, a lot of
Yes.
antibiotics, and
Yes.
I was in that small room where all the antibiotics were opened, and
Yes.
and I was like working shifts, so I was there during the night. Sometimes I would kind of like lay down on the couch. So I was in that little room
Mm-hmm.
most of the time. And then one day my face just broke out in these pimples. And one of the doctors there um, suggested, take activated charcoal. He
Wow.
told me, take activated charcoal because it can pull anything out of your body, including radiation.
Mm-hmm.
So, like uh, people in Ukraine know something about radiation because of Chernobyl. You probably,
Uh, I'm not. Am I
right?
allowed to laugh? It's just,
Yeah, I guess
it's,
so.
it's, it's the way you said it. It's all right. It's not funny, but it's just the way you said it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an understatement, isn't it? Yeah, I had a patient recently who was exposed to Chernobyl, and so she had the same
Mhm.
kind of dry sense of humor, like, yeah, well, I know a little bit about radiation. It's amazing to see how casually you are able to talk about what was an absolute disaster. But anyway, I
Mhm.
digress. Go ahead.
Right, right. So anyway, I took whatever he recommended. I took activated charcoal for a couple of weeks. I think I
Hmm.
don't remember now how long it was, and everything was gone. Everything was gone.
Wow. Wow.
And then I had several episodes throughout my life. The second time was when we came to America, and I started being exposed to all the foods, which at that time when we first came in, there was no money, no one talked about organic. Just started eating everything that was at the supermarkets, that what we could afford, and I had another outbreak of acne, and that
Yeah.
one, no one could help me. We went to the doctors. They would say, here's antibiotic, and it just didn't make sense to me. How would taking antibiotic could cure someone from acne? I was the kind of person that if something didn't make sense to me, I wouldn't do it.
Yep. Yep. Of course. Of
So,
course.
and then finally, I went to a natural doctor who was trained in Russia, who put me on the juice fasting protocol and enemas, and that cleared it.
Wow.
And so that's how I was learning about it through my own body. And then when I was already at Bastyr University doing naturopathic program, I had another outbreak of acne. And at that time, no one could help me. I already tried fasting and enemas, and that wouldn't do it. And I was talking to different professors that taught at my school, and they would say, try zinc, try vitamin A, high doses of different vitamins. What about adrenal support? I tried all kinds of things. Finally, they concluded it's stress. It's probably school stress, and maybe when you graduate, it will go away. Okay, and at that time, it was cystic acne, it was all over my face, and scars, painful scars, and I at that time no one talked about gluten yet, so no one would talk about it, no one would recommend it to me. And I went to this place in Mexico for vacation, and something came to me, maybe in a sleep, or maybe as part of meditation, I don't know. But I just kind of figured out I need to avoid gluten. And it's easy to do in Mexico because it's all corn based. you know.
Yeah.
So, and after 10 days, my skin was no more new breakouts. It was
Wow.
clear. There were
Wow.
still scars, but and so when I came back, people didn't notice it right away because I still had scars. But
Right.
then as scars started to clear out because there were no more new breakouts, then professors that taught in our school would stop me in the hallways and say, "What did you do?"
Wow.
And
Oh,
I definitely was able to help myself, and
that's crazy.
that's
So
probably.
here are you at easily the top. Well, it's called the Harvard of naturopathic medicine, isn't it? Bastyr.
Yes, yes, it
And
is.
and the irony is that you would think, oh, this is an amazing story because you would think that everything alternative must be good. But what I'm hearing you say is that neither the conventional doctors nor the alternative doctors at that time were able to find a solution for you, and
No,
you
they
had to find
couldn't.
your own. That's
Yeah, and
amazing.
I was talking to the best, the most respected teachers in our school, at least, that I knew at the time.
Wow. And so you had to trust your own instincts.
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy. That sounds all too familiar, but that's for another time. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an absolute blessing here in the form of Dr. Marina Yanover, who has, in the space of 16 minutes, told us enough information to dig into for another 5 episodes easily. And as usual, she's done it in a very calm, unassuming way, which Marina is known for, saying very powerful stuff very quietly and softly. So we are going to take a quick break to listen to some of our usual announcements, and then you will have more time with this lovely and amazing story and person. We are taking a quick break. Be right back.
In a world that moves too fast, it's easy to lose touch with what truly matters, your well-being. At Teshuva Wellness, we believe in a return to balance, to healing, to your best self. Our holistic approaches nurture not just your body, but also your soul. Whether you're seeking peace, energy, or a deeper connection, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Our medical experts specialize in holistic treatments for chronic diseases, ranging from autoimmune illnesses to cancer. Our treatments are safe, non-toxic, and effective. Because at Teshuva Wellness, your journey to wellness is our greatest commitment. Visit our website today at teshuvawellnessja.com or call 1-876-787-8197. That's 1-876-787-8197. Teshuva Wellness. Return to health. Return to your best self.
Yes, we are having fun, aren't we? Healthy reasoners, and aren't we, Marina?
Oh,
I think
yes, we do.
I hope you're having fun. And the time is literally flying because it's already 17 minutes in. And I don't know about you guys, but it feels like 5 minutes. I don't know how this happens,
It
but
does feel to me as well, Andre.
it's crazy. Marina, I'm going to use the fact that I'm the host of this show to get the ability to ask you a question that I personally need an answer to. And I'm sure our healthy reasoners will need to know the answer as well, especially those of us who are in Jamaica, because I for certain hear a lot about this thing called Lyme disease. And I have actually been in an exam in which a case was presented to me, and apparently I was supposed to figure it out that it was Lyme disease. but because I've never had to treat that before, or not knowingly anyway, I I I just got that question totally wrong. so I've always wanted to ask you because in my mind, certainly in my mind, if there's anybody who has any patient I see who has Lyme disease or has a history of Lyme disease, I'm gonna call Marina because she is in my circle of people to call, and she is the emergency phone number to call when somebody has Lyme. And I don't know if you necessarily planned it that way, but you've become, certainly for me, the authority. So I wanted you to tell me, first of all, how did you end up treating so much Lyme disease? And then also, maybe you could start by telling us, me, what is Lyme disease?
Yeah. So I'm located in Connecticut, and you maybe you know, maybe you don't, but Lyme disease originated in Connecticut
Oh, wow. Did
because
not
we
know.
have a town here called Lyme, Connecticut,
Huh.
and that's where the first cases of Lyme were originally noticed. It presented,
Wow.
I think it was in the 80s or late 70s, when the first cases of children with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, or so they called it back then,
Huh.
were diagnosed.
Huh.
But later they discovered there was a bacteria associated with it. And so the bacteria is called Borrelia burgdorferi. Um, that's, was the doctor, the scientist who discovered that bacteria. It was named after him.
Hmm.
And so that's how it was discovered. And then there were more and more cases discovered in that area in Connecticut. It spread out to neighboring states, New York, New Jersey, New Hampshire. All the East Coast now is heavily infected with Lyme disease. It's considered endemic area. And
Wow.
so, anywhere on the East Coast where there is trees, deer transmit Lyme disease. And now not only deer, but also mice, chipmunks, birds, even
Hmm.
mosquitoes.
Hmm.
The mosquito can bite the deer, for example, and then bite the human and transmit Lyme like that. And
Hmm.
that's why there's a lot of it's not only here, it's all over the United States now, and
Wow.
in Europe as well. And I don't know how it got to Europe, but probably via mosquitoes, but also there are ticks in Europe. So somehow it traveled around, and so I would say it's pandemic now. It's all over the world.
Hmm. Hmm. I literally had no idea that that was where Lyme got its name. So to answer my own question, and it sounds like you treat so much Lyme because you're surrounded.
Yes, yes. Yeah, because patients who come here, they come with various symptoms. Some of them know they have Lyme. They've been diagnosed before by other doctors.
Hmm.
Others don't know they have Lyme, but by their presentation, I oftentimes think about it, and oftentimes they do have it. And we use various tests to confirm it. Sometimes the conventional tests are not enough because those patients, usually their immune system is so low that the antibodies are not showing up on the regular tests, and
Hmm.
sometimes it takes several tests to actually diagnose them. And oftentimes, even those tests are negative. And so when we start treating them
Hmm.
and we test them after a certain time, that's when they are testing positive. And it's because we are able to bring the pathogen from the deep inside the body, from
Yes.
where it was inside the joints. Sometimes Lyme is more in the cystic form. We
Yes.
able to bring it up, and only then it's going to test positive.
So Wow. I go to a lot of, I used to anyway. Let's start over. I used to be able to travel a lot to to see Dr. Dietrich Klinghart's workshops, and that was actually one of the first exposures I had to the information you just shared about tests being negative but the disease still being there. But then I never needed to use it because in Jamaica we don't have, at least we don't think we have Lyme disease. And so the question I wanted to probably ask you then is, having spoken with you many times before, I know that Lyme can present in so many different ways, and you've told me really funny stories about about people who've come to see you, and you've been the one who told them they had Lyme, but their presentation was just so bizarre. So I'm gonna ask you to tell me maybe two things. What's the weirdest way that somebody has ever presented to you with Lyme? and then maybe like the next question would be, what is your favorite success story with treating somebody with Lyme?
Okay, so the weirdest way, there's so many weird ways. But the one that comes to mind is anxiety sometimes. Sometimes the only symptom is anxiety.
Wow.
So I had a patient, young guy in his 30s, like early 30s. The only symptom that he had was anxiety and panic attacks. And it was just that. There was nothing else. I didn't even think that he had Lyme. I didn't think of it. But then, I treated him for anxiety. And he got a little bit better and things got better. But then years later, he came back with some more symptoms. At that time, there was joint pain. There were headaches. There were other things that prompted me to think about testing him for Lyme.
Yeah.
And so he was definitely positive for Lyme. But the weirdest thing that when those symptoms started showing up, his anxiety was getting a lot worse, and he was getting panic attacks and all kinds of. And then I just put two and two together, because there were lots of other patients. One of the symptoms that Lyme patients present with is anxiety. So I just kind of put them together.
You're brilliant, because I mean, I as we both know, anxiety is another pandemic, isn't it? So
Yes.
for you to be able to pick that out, because almost every other patient nowadays is complaining of anxiety, but you were able to see the difference with him and see that it was actually Lyme. That's super cool.
And it's interesting that a lot of times, there's like a trend that goes on, right? So nowadays there's a trend about histamine intolerance. I feel like. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Yes.
Or
yes.
at least in the Lyme community, there is a big trend about histamine intolerance. And so when patients come to see me, they already put themselves on a diet for low histamine, and they stop eating a lot of foods that contain considered to be containing high histamines, like tomatoes, eggplants, certain foods, avocados, and those are healthy foods. And
Go ahead.
And I'm okay for a while to even, entertain that idea. And, if the histamine is a problem, I'm totally okay with, stopping that for a while or reducing. But every food contains some degree of histamines. You cannot just have them not eat those foods for the rest of their lives.
Keep going.
But I tell them, if you don't address the real issue, if you don't address Lyme the way it should be addressed, then treating histamines is giving you crutches. It's not teaching you how to walk.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the analogy I use.
And that's going on Instagram in a short while. For sure. You're going to see yourself all over social media saying that. When my team edits this, they're going to pick that one and say, oh, I love when she said that. Yeah, it's not crutches, it's teaching yourself how to walk. That's crazy. My mind is racing right now because I'm thinking about patients I know who, though they originated in Jamaica, they spent a lot of time overseas. And like you said, I've been helping their body to become stronger, but there's a few symptoms that have not gone away. And I'm starting to wonder if some of them may actually have had Lyme. That's super interesting.
And then you asked me about the most successful case. So there were lots of successful cases, but one that I particularly remember right now is another patient about in his 40s who had all kinds of symptoms, typical Lyme symptoms, joint pain, fatigue. And we did very thorough protocol with him, including detoxification, putting him on the right diet, the herbs, appropriate antibacterial, antimicrobial herbs.
Yes.
And also making sure his environment was proper, because a lot of times those patients live in the environment that promotes low immune function, like mold, right? If somebody has mold in their house, it's very difficult to achieve full healing because they're still in that environment. So he did everything that needed to be done to fix those issues. And he also addressed the emotional issue, which was happening at home.
Yes. There
So
you go.
all of that, when we brought it all together, he was healed completely. He moved to another state, and sometimes he sends me emails from time to time, and still doing great.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I'm happy we had this talk. So I've learned quite a bit just in the past 10 minutes. We're gonna take another quick break just to make sure that I can drink some water. And Marina is probably gonna drink something better than water. I don't know. You have some special.
No, there's nothing better than water.
All right. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the great Dr. Marina Yanover.
Healthy Reasoners. You asked and we listened. After enjoying today's episode, you can now send Dr. Andre your comments via WhatsApp. That's right, WhatsApp your comments or voice messages to us at 1-876-405-7831. In fact, take a moment to send us a WhatsApp right now. If it's really good, Dr. Andre will read it in the next episode. Once again, that's 1-876-405-7831. Send us your message now. We can't wait to hear from you.
All right, Healthy Reasoners, we have a surprise for you because we've interviewed Mary Beth Gonzalez, who is Dr. Nick's widow. We have interviewed Dr. Tony, who is one of the Gonzalez guardians. We've interviewed Professor Sarpadilla recently, who told you his amazing story about being treating himself with the organs of wild animals for 18 months and then finding out that there was a commercial way of doing it better. I don't think, outside of Mary Beth though, none of these people actually had the privilege of meeting Dr. Nick themselves. Tony, if you're watching this, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you met him, but if you did, I know you're going to WhatsApp me shortly and tell me that I'm wrong because you met him. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is Marina met him. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you feel like sharing a little bit about what that experience was like?
Yeah, sure.
Tell me.
So I I was just recently out of school, after graduation, and I wanted to spend some time with good doctors because I felt like I wanted to learn more. And so I was particularly interested in cancer at that time. And so somehow I came by his website. I learned about Dr. Gonzalez, and I called his office and asked if I could preceptor with him, spend some time with him. And I had to write an essay, I remember. Just like he did it for his patients. He had them write an essay. So I had to write an essay and explain
Yes.
why I wanted to learn. And so
Yes.
I did, and he accepted me to be trained. And so I spent about 6 months with him.
Wow.
So it was a great experience. I would come in the morning and I would observe patients, him with patients, and then I could ask him any questions.
Wow.
So yeah, it was great. And
That's
he would
crazy.
always, in the breaks, he would explain to me what was about that particular case. And then we would go to lunches together and talk over lunch. And he would
Nice.
always bring his pills with him in a little Ziploc bag.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And he
crazy.
had coffee enema in the office. He had a bathroom where. So
Wow.
yeah, he was that. He definitely practiced his protocol the way he was
That's
teaching it.
yeah. That sounds logical.
And that actually experience changed my whole way of practicing medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I started seeing autoimmune patients, and I would incorporate the Gonzalez protocol right then,
Yeah. Yeah. Which makes
and
sense.
very, very successfully.
Well, Marina, I think healthy reasoners across the world need to know that Marina exists. I will be very honest with with the people watching. By the way, I just want to let you guys know, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, that we're on video. So, if you're listening to this, you have the option of watching it on our YouTube channel, as well as I think Spotify allows videos to be showed as well. So you'd probably love to see Marina more than just listening to her. And so I invite you to join us on video. And that leads me into our weird and wonderful section, Marina. I know that you have been prepped about the possibility of the weird and wonderful being asked. And just to remind you of the rules, each of us gets to ask the other two questions. The questions are supposed to shed a little bit of light on who we are as individuals. They're personal, but they're not supposed to be invasive, or obviously we're not here to try and make anybody look bad. So, but it's supposed to be personal enough that we come away saying, huh, I didn't know Marina liked cheesecake. Those kind of questions. So do you want me to ask you my question first, or do you want to ask me first?
You can ask me, and then I'll ask you.
All right, let's go. All right, so my question for Marina is, what would you say is your favorite flower and why?
Flower,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Rose
why?
is what. Yeah, rose is what comes to mind.
Okay,
Um,
and why?
And why? Because I'm talking about real roses that grow in the in the bushes and the
Yes,
gardens that
yes,
smell good. It's a wonderful aroma.
yes.
Not the ones you buy at the stores that don't smell at all.
That makes
um,
sense.
yeah, because it's a wonderful smell. The colors, all kinds of colors, and it's delicate. You
Yes,
have to be careful with it because it can punch you if you grab it at the wrong place.
yes, yes.
But yeah, you have to treat it with respect and enjoy it.
Ah, I think you're giving us a parable there, but I'll leave it alone. So, all right, your time.
What's your favorite food, Andre?
Oh wow, that one, favorite food. So yeah, funnily enough, I think by now I know the answer to that question, and the answer is I like to eat curried goat. Curried
Wow,
goat.
curried
Yeah,
goat.
curried goat. So in Jamaica, we eat that quite a bit. We actually have quite a bit of goats, and so the goat meat is prepared, is curried, and it's usually served with white rice. So it's curried goat with white rice, and it's really
That sounds
delicious.
really good. So
It
next
is.
time I go to Jamaica, I should get
Yes.
that.
Healthy Reasoners, you heard her say that she's coming to Jamaica. She didn't say when, but she said she is. So I'm going to hold you to it. Nisha and I will be happy to have you, Marina.
I'm thinking
Um,
about it, Andre.
excellent,
I,
excellent, excellent. As a matter, well, I was going to go further with it because we need, I have a feeling, where did I end up there? I have a feeling that Lyme patients would do better in our climate.
yes.
um, because I had the husband of one of my patients who visited from the States. He had Lyme disease, and he said the minute he got off the plane here in Jamaica, he immediately felt so much better. So
Yeah.
there's something
So
there.
yeah, something there. There's sun. There's probably the humidity is not as high as it
Yeah,
is here on the Atlantic Ocean,
yeah.
where we are. The humidity in the summer kills people, and there's the
Wow.
humidity in the winter as well. So I would assume in Jamaica there is not a lot of humidity. There is sun. It's more of a gentle climate, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is. And
yeah.
he said
So,
even like the air felt different to him. So that's probably what he meant. Oh, that's
hmm
deep.
it's
Okay, I'm not gonna.
probably, yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
probably less pollution as well.
I was gonna go there, but that's exactly what he said. Guys, Marina is doing it again. Healthy Reasoners, I warned you. She just makes these like bombshell statements, and they're usually correct. So yeah, that's exactly what he said. The pollution level was low. Why did I hesitate to? Anyway, we're getting distracted, Marina. My second question to you. Um, I'm gonna give you one of my favorite ones because I want to know. Do you play a musical instrument? That's one. And if you do, what is it? And if you don't, which one would you love to play?
I don't, honestly.
Okay.
So I always wanted to play piano,
Yes. Yes.
but I ended up going to ballet school as a extracurricular activity when I was growing up,
Oh,
and
wow.
so my mom chose that for me because she always wanted to do it, and her parents made her play piano.
Piano. So it's ironic.
So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
so
Oh,
she
wow.
put me in there, and I was there for 7 years in ballet school, but
Wow.
and never had real patience to play piano, even though I wanted to, but I just didn't have enough patience to do that.
Well, it sounds to me though, because I'm trying to imagine walking around on your toes all the time. That sounds like something that would take a lot of patience. So maybe it wasn't patience that was the issue. Maybe you just needed a good teacher.
Maybe, but my mom is a good teacher, but you know how it is when you try to
No,
teach your
no,
own child.
no, not your mom. Somebody else. Somebody
Yes.
else. Your mom is the worst possible person.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got you. All right. Your last question to me. And would you believe it? We are 42 minutes in.
Wow, the time
And
just flies.
yeah, it's fun, I think. Tell me, what do you want me to
Um,
answer?
so if you were to visit any country of your choice,
Yes.
and the distance didn't exist,
Ah,
and you
nice.
the time doesn't exist, and just
Yes.
pick one country that you would want to be going to tomorrow.
Yeah, that's funnily, I don't know why this answer came up. I hope it's not like taboo, but Croatia.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. It's doesn't make any sense why. But when Jamaica first went to the World Cup of Soccer, FIFA World Cup,
Okay.
that was the very first country we had to play. And that was the very first encounter we had with being like a small nation on the large scale, playing all these other big countries. And I could be wrong, but I feel like we lost. And I remember feeling really bad, but then somebody said to me, "Don't worry, Croatia's population is just about the same as Jamaica, so it's kind of like they are the Jamaica of Europe." That's what the person told me anyway. So so that was the first time I'd even heard of that country. So I started looking them up and so on. And I've always said that if they're the Jamaica of Europe, I'd love to actually go there and see if there are any similarities. I doubt it, but so I've been told anyway.
Yeah,
So
well,
let's see.
I think you'd like it. I've never been there, but I heard the architecture is beautiful.
Ah,
And
that would be nice. That would be
yeah.
nice. I love that. Okay, okay. So maybe. Actually, I think my wife's friend is gonna go there later this year. So, don't tell her, but we may need to figure out a way to hop onto that trip. So I overheard a little whisper there. Yeah, well, Marina, we've done it again. Somehow we have had exactly what this show is called, a healthy reasoning. I think that of all the guests we've interviewed, I think that you're the guest, in my opinion. Healthy Reasoners, comment or WhatsApp me to let me know if I'm right. But I think you're the only guest we've had who makes people want to ask more questions. I'm sure there's just so much more that you could talk about in terms of your life experiences, your training, and what you've seen. I mean, everybody else I've interviewed is pretty much, you know what you're gonna get because you know their qualifications, you know their thing, they're like visible all over the place. But Marina is just quietly has all these treasures that she's not shared. And so listeners and watchers, I want to recommend that you check Dr. Marina Yanover out, especially if you think you might have Lyme disease. I'm looking at this thingy here and it says her private practice is in Westport, Connecticut, and shoot, can't remember the name of it. What's the name of it, Marina?
It's called Big Apple Health Center.
Actually, I saw it, but I didn't know if that was you. Yeah, so it's Big Apple Health Center in Westport, Connecticut, and I recently found out just how close Connecticut is to New York. According to
It is.
this, yeah, it's 1 hour's drive from both New York City and New Haven, Connecticut. So, listen, Healthy Reasoners, you're going to want to get in touch with this lady because there's so much more we haven't spoken about, so much more she could tell you. And what I wanted to ask you, Marina, okay, great. I was looking for your Instagram. So it's big.apple.health. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So you guys need to follow her. Marina has recently confided in me that she wants to get a little bit more involved with social media. So Healthy Reasoners, I want you to give her some support. If you're listening to this podcast, I want you to go and follow her at big.apple.health and help her to get more followers and more visibility because as you can tell, there's a lot that she needs to share with the world. And Marina, I want to give you the last microphone opportunity. If there's anything specific that you wanted to let our Healthy Reasoners know, please go right ahead.
Well, I just also wanted to share my website with people. It's www.bigapplehealth.com.
Okay.
And there you can find all the information about our practice and the email and everything that you need to know. And one last thing, if I always tell people, believe in yourself, believe in the recovery, believe that anything is possible.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
if you haven't had the result, it just means you haven't found the right treatment yet. But it exists and it's out there, and there's always hope. And that's what I believe.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Marina. Thank you for your time. I know you're at the office, and I'm very grateful that you took the time out to speak to us, healthy reasoners. And I got
It's
some
my
information.
pleasure.
Yeah, I found out so much more than I bargained for. So thank you so much, Marina.
Oh,
Bless
it's
you.
my pleasure, Andre.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Healthy Reasonings podcast. Remember to subscribe to this podcast so you can be updated as soon as new episodes are ready. If you have a question, send us a voice note on WhatsApp or a WhatsApp message. The WhatsApp number is 1-876-405-7831. For more information or to become a sponsor, please email wellnessdocjamaica@gmail.com. See you soon.
In a world that moves too fast, it's easy to lose touch with what truly matters, your well-being. At Teshuva Wellness, we believe in a return to balance, to healing, to your best self. Our holistic approaches nurture not just your body, but also your soul. Whether you're seeking peace, energy, or a deeper connection, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Our medical experts specialize in holistic treatments for chronic diseases, ranging from autoimmune illnesses to cancer. Our treatments are safe, non-toxic, and effective. Because at Teshuva Wellness, your journey to wellness is our greatest commitment. Visit our website today at teshuvawellnessja.com or call 1-876-787-8197. That's 1-876-787-8197. Teshuva Wellness. Return to health. Return to your best self.